For me, personalized learning is, I just sum up personalized learning as it is on the slide, which I'm sharing right now with you. I hope all of you can see the slides, and hope all of you can listen to me as well, because I feel like I'm talking to the blank screen. If you can listen to me, you can just drop any question on the conversation panel. Okay, for me, personalized learning is whenever you always know your students. Okay, loud and clear. I read that. I will be more loud and more clear. For me, personalized learning, it's having a prior knowledge about your students. So let's suppose if you are starting with the new unit, Meenakshi, presentation is not working for someone.
Okay, it's going to take time for the presentation to move for you because there are some loading issues at your end, so please bear with us. Eventually you are going to get a recording of it, so could we please carry on?
Okay. Yeah, for me it's important that whenever you are starting with your new unit, or you're starting your you get a prior learning check of your students so that you can plan and you can personalize your learning environment more effectively. And these days it's very important that learning is very much visual. It can be seen. Students, they have different learning styles, they have different learning preferences. So the way you are planning your lessons, the way you are designing your lessons, it's very important that you integrate different forms of media into your lessons, and give choices to students. They can make selections of different type of media when they are into that learning process. And as I said, at every point it's important that you collect your students' data, that how learning is going on, at what point the understanding is, and then accordingly you should be taking actions, you should be moderating, and you should intervene at that point. Giving student options to drive the learning, that's another aspect of creating personalized environment, that you give the control in their hand. Let them control their learning process, give them the responsibility. And they should always be in a learning environment. You should give them the opportunity that whatever skills they are learning, they can practice those skills, and they can independently, they can work on those skills also. Working in a collaboration, definitely it is preferably, it is required in a learning environment, but there should be some personalized times also for the students to practice skills and to work independently. That's what my thinking of creating personalized environments, and acknowledging and celebrating their success at different levels, sharing it with community. That plays very important role to drive this process. And yes, in this process, I can understand that as an educator, our role is very important. And as an educator, we are completely overloaded with marking, with feedbacks, with planning, and a lot of work that we have to do. So it's important that you, when you're working in the team, you share together, and then you share the load of planning, lesson planning together, and then you share your practices with others. That definitely, it will reduce the planning time for you and for others, for your teams also. So one of the examples that I wanted to share with you, that how am I planning my lesson, and it is giving more personalized touch to my learning environment. Blend Space, I don't know about you, but Blend Space, it's one of my favorite tools whenever I'm planning my lesson. You can see from here that creating lessons in 5 minutes, it's definitely you take a very less time when you're planning using Blend Space. This tool is basically by TESS. TESS it's a hub of resources, lesson resources. You can find schema work, you can find some other type of resources of different subjects, of different year groups. This product is basically by them, and it's an amazing product. You can create, yes, this is Blend Space. Someone has asked, this is Blend Space? Yes, this is Blend Space. You can create your own lessons and you can select the lessons. You can reuse them from the gallery of lessons. Yes, Pooja, it is blend space. Yeah, Pooja is right. Gallery, as I said, that it's important that we share the load of planning. So in the gallery, you can in the planner you are available with tons of already planned lessons. You can reuse them, you can modify, and you can reuse them. Yeah, that's something very important that actually I want to focus on. As I said, yes, it is a free platform. Yes, Champa, it is. Creating learning paths. All students are different. Every student has different learning needs. Every student has different preferred learning styles. Using blend space, actually, it gives you it actually you're planning one lesson, but the same lesson you can design different learning paths for your students of different abilities with different learning styles. You can see in blend space the lessons are planned in different tiles. You can see there are 6 tiles in this lesson. It's a biology lesson. There are 6 tiles. You can actually assign those tiles to different students. For example, students with a less ability, maybe they can too. You can assign tile number 1, 2, 3 to them. You can define a different learning path for the student with a higher ability. So you are planning one lesson, but on the same lesson, because the lesson is planned into different tiles, and in different tiles you have different type of learning content, different type of media. You can assign different learning paths to different students of different learning needs. So this is how you create your lessons. On the right side on the panel, you can see that you can select the resources from the web. Then different type of media can be selected. You can add YouTube videos, you can add documents, you can add PDF files. You can even link your Dropbox and your Google Drive with blend space. Then you can select some pictures from Plickers. You can even upload the files from your own drive, from your own desktops, from your own systems. Okay, here you can see that it's a blank lesson. There are no tiles in this lesson. You can, on the left side, what I did, I have searched for some YouTube video. Once you search for a video, you will get the list of the video. The video that you want to add into your lesson, you can just drag and drop on the tile, and that video will be added to your lessons. It's a very easy way of organizing and planning your lessons. Then, if you are looking for some web resources, you can just copy paste the URL. It doesn't only what it does. What blend space does. It takes out all the images from that website and all the text. So both the content you can use in your lesson. Then here, it's another example. And as I said in the beginning, okay, after creating your lesson, so here the lesson is complete. Lesson has different type of resources. You have a text resource, you have a video resource, then you have some PDF resources. After you're done with the lesson planning, you can share. We can share the lesson with your students. Sharing option is basically sharing a short link with your students. And you can assign different learning paths to your students. Okay, now this was basically designing different learning paths in your lessons. Second thing in a personalized learning is that at different points you should be able to intervene, and it's important that how do you assess your students' learning at different points of your lesson. How is it different from Sway? I won't do a comparison with the Sway. Sway is another powerful tool, no doubt. But here, as I said in the beginning, to design the different learning paths for different students, it's a wonderful approach. In blend space, the instruction time, a lot of instructions time, it reduces. a lot of instruction time it will reduce. And then you can see that in a same environment, if I have to do a comparison with the PowerPoint, in the same environment, in the PowerPoint, when you're designing a PowerPoint, you have to come out of you have to come out of that environment, and then you can look for different type of resources. Here you can see that when you're on the left side, you are available for different type of learning content. You can select from those contents. Even you can select test resources also, and you can directly drag and drop into your lessons. I find this a more effective way of planning the lesson in comparison to PowerPoint. Yes, you can even upload a PowerPoint presentation into it also. Okay. Now, in personalized, as I said, in personalized learning, it's important at different points. How are you assessing your students' learning? Because this is something that is very important for the teacher, that how teacher is modifying her lesson as per the learning needs. So for that purpose, to identify students' learning, to assess their learning in the entry point, at the exit point of the lesson, I use Plickers, and Plickers, it's a quick way of getting feedback from the students, or quick responses from the students. Plickers is used to take, it's basically a web tool which is linked with the mobile app. On Plickr, you can create the classes, and you can create the bank of lesson questions, multiple choice questions, and you will take the students' responses by using your phone, by scanning student responses, and Plickers generates
and actually view the site and know the information more from there. It is very helpful tool to take the attendance as it has voice attached with it.
Okay, thank you so much, Pooja. Thank God I'm back. I don't know how come, but I was out of the conversation. I did miss out on last words from Shafaq, but then I guess I'm sure, I'm very confident she's given you an excellent session. Fabulous. So all the questions, please keep them coming in. If not now, Shafaq will request Shafaq to answer them through an email, and we'll share them with.
Sure. Yeah, sure. You can tweet me. You can see my handler is there. You can tweet me anytime. You can send me some DM. You can send direct message if you wish to. I will answer your questions. No problems.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shafaq, for being here and sharing so much with us. Look at the way we are loaded with questions, queries, comments. It's absolutely awesome. At least I'm loving the session if nobody else. Are you guys? Okay, I know I can't hear you, but I could see yes.
I am still loving it.
Oh, great. Fantastic. All right. Thank you so much, Shafaq. You are more than welcome to stay here. I'll take over as presenter. So, can you see a change of slides? Shafaq, I'm going to make you an attendee so that I can take over.
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
Can you see me as the presenter now? Can you see the next slide? Okay, you can. So, all right, knock knock, who's there? Well, who else? It's opportunity. What is the opportunity like? Project Kakuma. I know most of you have heard about Project Kakuma. This is a project which is very, very close to MI Fellows, because this is a project that has been created by MI Fellows for any educator in the world to participate. To tell you a little about Kakuma, Kakuma is basically a refugee camp in Kenya, and this is the URL. You could go and look up over there. We have a OneDrive link provided over here, which will be sent to you again later on. And we will request you to be a part of this project. For those of you who are a bit new to this, let me tell you a little about it. That I am actually the ambassador Asia for this group, and for anything to do with Project Kakuma, you could get in touch with me. What is it? What do? We do a lot of things. These are about, well, when you handle in your class about 20 to 40 children, it is difficult, isn't it? And we all understand, because we all are educators. What happens when you have about 100 children sitting in your class? It's a bit chaotic. Are you scared? Oh, yes, it scares each and every one of us. What I will request you is that, you know what, let's just help these people out, because they are short on resources, they are short on teachers, they are short on education, actually, anything to do with education. And yes, Pooja, thank you for providing the link. You could go on the link, check out the details of the project. So what we do is we schedule Skype sessions for these children. So you can volunteer for a Skype session. Well, with or without your students, it's up to you. So you schedule a session using an Excel sheet that I'm going to share with you. So I'm creating an Excel sheet which post this call will be shared with you. If you wish to teach, or if you wish to share your classroom with their classroom, or if you wish to be an educator in their classroom, you're most welcome to do that. Only thing you have to do is schedule it so that I can help you see who's doing what and when, and we are not overlapping each other's timings, and that you are connecting in a much more meaningful manner. It has been our endeavor now that we try and get you a connection with the Kakuma kids, so that you're able to deal with them at their level. So we're trying to engage and align the curriculum, but while that's happening, you know how it takes time while making curriculums. While that's taking time, I really don't want those children suffering. Therefore, please, please, please volunteer. Yes, I know some of you are already registered, but if you are in the region of Asia and you would like a collective effort of Asians shown together, well, then that's the Excel sheet where you need to log in, and you need to say that, you know, I'm doing this session this time, this is my topic. these many minutes. So then we're going to check on the other end, and if that's feasible, off you go. I would highly encourage and request you to do so. And any more queries about that, we will be able to take in a few while. Keep your chat sessions on. Keep sending me things in the chat box. It's time for Shelly to take over. I'm going to make Shelly a presenter now. I hope it works, and I hope you're able to hear her, because I remember we were facing a bit of a problem earlier. But let me see. Okay, Shelly, you're on. Are you there? I know she's there, but we can't hear her. Okay, you're here, but we can't hear you. Let me try and mute myself. Shelly, that didn't work. Can you speak up a bit? Can you unmute yourself? Only yourself, please. Oh, you're unable to. Okay, so Shelly's playing around with that, and she's trying. I must tell you that she's here to speak to you about gamification in education. As you can see, she is the Information and Technology and Grade Level Coordinator at Pathways World School, Gurgaon, and she deals with technology integration, digital design, MYP, ICT, IGCSE, and ITGSE. Yeah, you can see she wears so many hats. She is the grade 8 coordinator too. You can look at her Twitter handle, Facebook, follow her on Facebook, and there's a WordPress blog that she writes, and I know she writes really well. You must actually try and visit that. Appreciate each other. If you run a similar blog on WordPress, please follow each other. That's a good practice. The Pedagogics run their own blog, which is called learnoholics.wordpress.com. I'm going to type that in the type box for you. In the meanwhile, Shelly, how can we help you? Okay, you're able to change the slides. Okay, but we can't hear you. You'll have to figure out a way where you're able to speak up. Absolutely, Amit. Please, this is an open forum. Put up anything that you want. Okay, what we can do is, Iti, thank you for that. She just send me a private message that you have some questions about Project Kokuma. Shelly, we'll leave you to figure out a way, maybe log out and log in again. And till then, Pooja, are there any questions on Project Kokuma?
Yeah, there's a lot of people who want to actually join Project Kakuma, and they're asking whether their teachers can also from their school join in.
Well, yes, you can make your school join in, you can make your educators, you can make your students join in. It's completely up to you how you want to utilize that platform. Any other questions there?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Amit wants to ask people that how many of them are aware about docs.com?
Well, if you're aware of docs.com, just give a thumbs up in the box, please.
There are a lot of requests coming to join Project Kakuma.
Oh, awesome. Okay, what I'm going to do is, till Shelly comes back into this scene, let me see if she's back. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to take you to my slides and maybe bring to her a bit later. She's here. Let me make her a presenter. Okay, unmute Shelley. Okay, can you speak up, Shelley?
Hi, am I audible now?
Fabulous, you're on.
Yes, Shelley.
Thank you so much. I'm going
Hi.
to mute myself.
Okay.
Okay, Shelley, thank you so much for today, and the floor is completely yours.
Thank you so very much. It's really great to see that there are more than 30 participants joining in for these sessions, and that too on a Sunday. It's not easy to sacrifice a Sunday, but then I think we're all educators, and for us there is absolutely no weekend or anything. But I think this is what we enjoy and we love to do in our lives. So I'm very glad. I'm really glad to be here. And the topic that I'm going to present today, it's about gamification in education. And I know there are a lot of MIEs over here. And can I be heard, please? If I can get a thumbs up, because somehow I'm feeling facing a lot of connectivity issues.
No, Shelley, you're absolutely audible. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so very much, Meenakshi. So I was saying that the topic that I've chosen for today, it's I volunteered for it. It's about gamification in education, and I know that there are a lot of people who are already MIEs, and there are a lot of people who use technology in their classes and must be aware about this concept. But my idea is to take you through a kind of a presentation where I'm able to introduce the concept of gamification and how you can do that. There is no such tool that I'm going to, tell you that this is the right tool for doing gamification. There are various tools, and different people have different ideas of gamification. So I'm going to take you now through the presentation. We've all played games in our lives, and we have enjoyed them like anything. And we know that what games can do for us. They can make your life enjoyable. They can really motivate you. They can actively engage you. So that's about, games in any form. They actually increase motivation through engagement. We've done that in our classrooms too, and it really helps us a lot. I know that, we have come a long way in the field of education and technology. And there were times earlier when Hello? Yes. So there were times earlier when there were people, when there were teachers who used to scare students into studying by, stamping them with an F or a pass or a fail. There were times where this education was completely teacher-centric, right? And the teacher was the focus of all the attention. But that has completely changed now, and education has completely become student-centric, where the teacher is a co-learner or a facilitator of learning, not just being the center of attention all the time. So fear doesn't really, it's not the real way to motivate someone. There are different ways of motivating your learners in the classroom, and I'm going to take you through that bit now. A brief history of gaming. I think we have, if you can see on my slides over here, these games, we are all aware about all of these games and how they started. Well, games in any form, whether it could be, solitaire, it could be Minesweeper, we have all gone through that stage. They have always remained an integral part of all the cultures. It's not just, I'm talking about myself, but I think all the cultures, they have been one of the oldest forms of human and social interaction. So, but then if it is any sort of gaming, whether it's related to a technological game, an educational learning game, or anything that you're talking about, the common principles or the mechanics of the game remain the same. We do have an outcome which is of course uncertain. We do have some agreed upon rules told to the players, and we do have competition, of course. But most of all, if you see, all the gaming mechanics revolve around one central thing, one central idea, which is about your personal enjoyment and motivation, right? So it could be anything. I mean, solitaire, free cell, Minesweeper, spider solitaire, they have all seen an era of gaming and have been very popular. And what they have done to us, they have allowed us to enjoy our life. They have allowed us to entertain ourselves. So all those, you know, Farmville fans, I think they will agree to me that Farmville has literally represented a landmark in the gamification of social networking.
Hi, Shelly.
Yeah, Pooja, I think they are not able to
The
see my
slides are not
slideshow.
moving. Yeah. So just try moving them. If not, then I'll move from here.
All right, I'll try. Yeah. Can you see it now?
No.
Can you see the slides moving?
No, not yet.
Shelly, your slides are not moving. What I'll do is I'll move the slide for you. If you could please just say next, what slide are you on right now?
ठीक है. I'm on slide number 36 right now. 35.
Got it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to explain now is this is actually the flow of my presentation. What I'm going to explain to you is because this is a very debatable topic, gamification in education. There are many teachers who do believe in the power of using gamifying your classrooms, but then there are you know, the other side of it also. Most of it, I think we have to understand that, yeah, Lakshmi, I'll answer your question later at the end of the session. That's what I'm trying to explain right now. You know, the most important thing that all of us as educators need to understand is that using a game in my classroom or letting my student play a video game, it is not gamification, right? So there is a very huge difference between a game and a gamification, a classroom. So Pooja, can you change my slide to the next slide?
I'm doing that for you, Shelly. Go ahead. You want the next one?
Yeah, 36. I still can't see it here.
Okay, you go ahead and speak because they can.
All right. So there is absolutely, I was saying that there is a difference between the two things. I was saying that, you know, in every, just like in every game, you get some sorts of points, you get some sorts of badges, but that's not about it. There is a huge difference between the two concepts of using games and gamifying your classroom. You know, games, as I said earlier in my previous slide, that it is purely for entertainment basis. They have certain rules and everything, but then there are only for entertainment basis. But when you talk about gamification, it's playing games and having fun, but with a purpose in mind. There is a specific goal that you have to achieve, and it relates to a learning outcome, and that's about gamification. Meenakshi, can you change my slide next?
You're on.
Okay. Okay.
So that's games and gamification.
Yeah, that's right. Coming to the next part of my presentation, where I would like to explain what gamification is all about, because we've Meenakshi, the slides are still not changing somehow. Not sure why is that happening.
Don't worry, Shelly, they are changing, so they might take a little time for people to upload. You can carry on. We're talking about games and gamification right now.
Right. So the difference, Meenakshi, now I'm on the next slide where I'm explaining what gamification is all about.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was explaining that games are fun games which is purely for entertainment, but the gamification uses strategies of games in a particular learning context. So when you are using or creating a game element for non-game situations, that's about a gamification, and it's just not restricted to a classroom kind of a structure. In fact, I've seen that a lot of organizations also use gamification to motivate their employees. They give them certain rewards or achievements, and you know, it goes from one level to another. So it actually because as educators, what we are looking at is actively engaged learners in our classrooms. Sometimes our 100% students are not that actively engaged, and we want to promote certain desired behaviors. So when I talk about desired behaviors, I mean to say that we want our students to be, innovative learners, creators of the content. We want them to be risk takers. So if you want all of that to happen in your classroom, I believe gamification is the right way of doing that, and there are different tools to do that, and I'll go through all of that in my presentation next. Next slide, Meenakshi, it's about how gamification works.
Yes, Shelly, it's on.
Yeah. So what I wanted to actually explain through this slide is that, since I already said that gamification does take a lot of game mechanics in consideration, such as there is a point system. You give them a task and you earn certain points and badges. You go from one level to another and you keep completing those levels, and you keep earning some experience points. So that really helps the students in reflecting on their own learning and being a part, or being a voice in their own learning, basically. So you can have some sort of leaderboards and challenges given to them. But then what is important is that we need to devise some ways in which we get that student engagement along with gamification, which can be made possible through accelerated feedback cycles and providing them instant feedback on their learning. So when they are moving ahead, you need to give them instant feedback on what went well, what did not go well, what can be done to improve that thing. So I will share one really good example from my own school. I'm on my next slide now, where it says gamifying personal project. All the MYP students in my school are supposed to be doing a personal project, and where they have to, personal project is a very personal journey. There is a personal goal that the student has to achieve, and they have to formulate some sort of research questions, and they have to kind of start their journey and end it at the end of 1 year, which is something that the topic has to be something that they really feel very closely and emotionally engaged about. So we were facing a little bit of problems with the students not really engaged enough and not really willing to embark on this journey of personal project. So what we did was we gamified this whole system of personal project using a online learning portal, and which has some sorts of activities, some videos, and at the end of each level it shows the progress of a student and how and what they have achieved in the form of badges and rewards and points. So with this learning portal, after this, the students have really gotten interested into the whole idea of personal project, and they are feeling very emotionally close to the topic of personal project. So that is one example that I shared with you just now, which is about gamifying personal project. Coming to the examples, well, examples can be very varied from depending upon the different classroom settings and different cultures and all that. So one very good example and a revolution in the field of gamification in education is Minecraft. I think you all must be aware of Minecraft in education and how it can be used. So I'm going to share one slide with you which has some ideas. These ideas were given by Mr. Anthony himself, and he's shared it on the website, where the students are using Minecraft in their maths, whether it's world religions, whether it's science classes, to create games which closely relate to the learning context. Let's say I saw a classroom teacher who uses Minecraft to teach volume and capacity skills to the students. So the critical thinking skills are being passed on to the students using Minecraft in the classrooms. I don't know how, yeah. So Kirti, the learning portal that we used for personal project was Kaleido Learning. It's Kaleido. It's an amazing learning portal if you want to, get that kind of engagement and interest from your students in their personal project journey. Kaleido is an amazing learning tool. You can see on their website. They are really good. I mean, there are courses, and not just for the students. They have the courses for the supervisors also. So being a personal project supervisor, even I got into a gamification situation where I went through tutorials, and even I earned badges on that. So this was a really interesting one for us.
Shelly, I'll request
coming
you to go on with your presentation. We'll take the questions a little later, please, because we're running out of time otherwise. Thanks.
Okay. All right, fine. So I was talking about the Minecraft examples, and I already shared with you. Shafaq had also spoken about one really good tool, which was Class Dojo. Even that is one area where we can look at. It is absolutely amazing if you want to monitor student behavior and engagement, and motivate them. Even Class Dojo is an amazing example of gamification. Also, at this point, I would like to say that since we have really shifted from a traditional mindset to a completely technological mindset, I think a few examples that I can share with you is that instead of giving those long traditional assignments, if you can design some sort of treasure chests or quests for your children, that will be a great way to motivate and engage them. Even in a treasure chest or a quest, there are levels, and you keep going from one level to another, and which actually relates to your learning area in your classroom. So that is one good way of motivating your students. Even the science teachers can use something called it's called a 3D game lab, which is available online if you want to see that. Even that is also a similar kind of a learning management system, which gives students some sorts of experience points for completing or mastering some tasks and content. It's also a level based course. So even that can be used by science teachers. Maths teachers can anyways use Minecraft. History teachers or English teachers can also use Minecraft a lot in their classrooms. The whole structures, they can actually introduce their students to a virtual tour of a museum and then ask the student to design the same on Minecraft. So that's called experiential learning, and it's a very good way of getting those kind of engaged learners in your classroom. Of course, Minecraft, from Microsoft's side, there is an amazing tool called Touch Develop that you can try. It's based on a coding kind of a platform, and you can try that. One which I recently used in my classroom is Odo Game Lab, which is again by Microsoft. And when I was designing this unit with my grade 9, what I did was that I designed this unit with my students. I was not the only one to design the whole unit. The students too were a part of designing the unit. And I designed a lot of games with my grade 9 students. And the target audience for our project was primary students. So we were designing games for primary students. There were a lot of games that they really, designed for primary students to learn fractions, to introduce them to the concept of, sentence creation, sentence writing, those writing skills. So a lot of such games can be designed in Kodu, and I've tried and tested that with my grade 9 students, and it works amazingly well. In fact, it was heartening to see when grade 9 students interacted with those primary students and showed them their games. They were absolutely thrilled to use the games created by their seniors. So and the primary teachers do plan to use that, and in fact even the parents were thrilled to see how gamification is transforming our classrooms. So that was one good example that I wanted to share with you. Meenakshi, next slide is about the hour of code, which I tried in my classroom. If you're not aware about Hour of Code, it's a great initiative by Microsoft, and it is used to introduce the concept of coding in your classroom. And when I say coding, I am not restricting only computer science teachers to plan and implement Hour of Code. Any teacher can actually plan an Hour of Code. It's also a good way of gamifying your classroom. Why I did Hour of Code in my classroom is because I did it just when I was just when I was about to introduce robotics in my grade 8 classroom. So I wanted to have them a little look and feel of the coding environment. I didn't want them to push them straight into robotics programming. So I got them through an hour of code where they sat in their chairs in the classroom setting, collaborating with their peers and solving some Minecraft puzzles. Even that goes from level 1 to, there are 14 puzzles in the Minecraft. Yeah, so non-ICT students too can engage with gamification, and it can really transform their classrooms. So you can see on my screen, these students at the end of 1 hour, they were thrilled to achieve certificates of completion of Hour of Code, and they were after my life to print those certificates because they were so much thrilled and into the whole idea of Hour of Code. If you want to know more about Hour of Code, you can visit the official website, and even there are a lot of tutorials available. In fact, there is a whole kit that comes from Microsoft, and it gives a little brief from the educator's side to the students, where it explains the whole journey of the Hour of Code and why we are doing that and what we are doing exactly. So the whole kit can be downloaded and can be shared by the educators to the students when you're doing Hour of Code. I did make a video of the whole journey of my Hour of Code, and you can see that in my presentation. You can look at the link over here and you can see that. How does gamification work? There is this psychology of motivation that that we need to understand how our brain works. As I said, it's all experiential learning. When you are experiencing something good, you feel pleasure and you feel very motivated and engaged. And also when you're getting that kind of feedback, instant feedback, that really helps you to improve upon your mistakes and keep progressing in that area. So that is how actually gamification works, because it hijacks your brain completely. When you are into that setting of gamification, there is a chemical, actually, if I have to speak about a scientific terminology, it's actually a chemical that gets released in our body, which is dopamine, and which actually propels you to do better and better, and that's how you progress. So that's the science behind it. And when you are going through all those short and long term goals along with your teacher, that really helps you out. So as I had said in my previous slides also, that teacher here, he or she is not the driver of the whole learning. She has to be a co-learner and a facilitator if you are trying to experience gamification in your classroom. Yeah. The last slide, almost on the last slide, where I'm going to give you some specific ideas. I've already given some ideas to gamify your classrooms. One excellent way is to make your students as co-designers in your projects. So when you are actually designing your curriculum or your projects, allow students to have a voice in the class design. I think that really helps, and so it actually puts students behind the wheel of their own learning. So that really helps them to express creativity and control. Allow them to improve as many times as possible. Allow them to succeed, to fail, and go from one level to another. This really motivates students to learn for themselves in order to master those skills. Provide instant feedback to them. So, when you are in a classroom setting and when a teacher is interacting with a student, so, so what I did with my students was I allowed them to use Twitter, and we had a little bit of a tweet meet for 15-20 minutes. So that really worked so well. There are some students who were not really into the discussion at all when I had started the discussion and the case study. But when I allowed them to go through that tweet meet, and when I was, on Twitter, I was saying that, yes, this is the best answer and this is how you can do it. And when I was rewarding them, commenting on their tweets, that really helped me to motivate and engage the whole of my classroom. 100% students were engaged into my classroom using that tweet meet for a 15-minute. So even that can be an example of gamification. It's not that you have to play a video game or a game as such. Gamifying means, animating your class and to a deeper level of interaction, basically.
Yeah. There's one more question.
Okay, last one, Pooja, please.
There's one more question that can non-ICT based students also do gamification? And how much time does it require for gamification?
It doesn't require much time, literally. I mean, if you are designing your units with your students and practicing it, it won't require that much time. I did share that history teachers can also use Minecraft. They can go through, I've seen that happening in middle school in my classroom, where history teachers have taken students to a virtual tour of a museum located somewhere else, and the same can be replicated by the student on Minecraft. So Minecraft is a game where you can build block by block and build the whole structure. So that gives you a very deeper level of learning. So it doesn't take much time for the teachers to plan, but then of course when you're doing that, it does require time in the classroom setting.
Awesome.
Thank you, Shali.
Thank you so much, Shelley, for such lovely and such informative inputs. And I'm absolutely loving my chat box, the way conversations are going, excellent exchange of ideas. I'm very, very aware that we have run out of time. Yet, if you would want to leave, we are very much here for the next few minutes to cover up because this is our first call. Please bear with us. We are trying to get you the best, and we are trying to connect with Swati and bring her in. She's not been able to join in today, but I promise that by next time all these things should be ironed out. So thank you so much, Shelley. I'm going to put you back into the attendees box. Thank you again.
Thank you, Meenakshi.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have to skip this one for the time being. Let me just check once again if Swati's been able to log in, because I know she's been trying since 6 o'clock and she's been wanting to come in, but no, I don't think we are fortunate enough to have her in our call today. Any attempt of me getting her in with the call is not possible, so possibly kindly excuse us this time. Next time we will try and make this happen for you. Okay, how many of you use social media in the classroom? A thumbs up or a thumbs down? Quickly in the chat box, please. I know when you're sitting lazy and just listening or just chatting, then you are really not in a mood to put things. But here I'm trying to move your fingers. I'm asking you to interact with me, because for me, presentation means interaction. I have to interact. Oh, fabulous. Okay. So we have a mixed response, mostly no's and some yes. Great. Let's move on. So social media will definitely increase communication between students, teachers, and the parents. There are different things that can happen. Well, sometimes, yes, communicate, collaborate, and connect. And you'll say, I do that already. I do that all the time. Well, tell me something. How well do you know this slide? How well do you know this screen? This is a screen grab from a student's phone. Well, if that's a screen grab from the student's phone, imagine where all do they go? They use WordPress, Twitter, Scoopit, Pinterest, and they have Tumblr, Skype, and so many others that you can see over here. Do you use them? Well, if you're not, let's not become outdated. We are educators. We have to keep ourselves updated. We have to stay in sync. Therefore, if you want to be familiar with this screen, all you have to do is be a bit on the social media. I'm going to ask you to make your phone screens look something like that. Internet in your classroom is absolutely imperative these days. It helps you in ways that we cannot even imagine. It will increase and open so many doors. Well, yes, very few of us use, but let's get you going. Well, in the classroom, connect with experts using Yammer, and you know that Yammer is in your rooms now. You have Office 365, you have Yammer. If you're not on Twitter, this is the time right away. Go to Twitter and get connected. That is the way to communicate and collaborate with a safe learning, social learning. Storify these conversations. All conversations that we have on tweet. We were supposed to start a tweet meet, that we realized that most of us sitting in this room right now are not on Twitter. Therefore, what we've done is we brought this to this platform, and there are yet another 20, 30, I would say, participants from whom I'm getting messages that they cannot log in. Well, I know Link is a little tricky to log in. Therefore, we're trying to create various platforms for interaction. Interaction and communication are a must tools. We really cannot do without them these days. So please start and begin making connections. Don't just be a producer. That's the first level of being in the social media. Well, be a joiner. Go ahead and be a gatherer. Yes, gather a lot of stuff from the social media. There are so many groups, forums, there are meetings, there are tweet meets, there are flash yam jam sessions that happen. Please be a part of them. Be a commenter. No, I would say don't just be a commenter. Don't just keep commenting. This is good, this is not so good. Put in some content. Be a producer. Blog a lot. Go ahead and explore WordPress. I know of many educators in when I say my group, there is a group of educators with whom I run a WhatsApp group. There I've been telling them to put up a blog in WordPress. What we've done is we are connected with each other We share each other's blog, we promote each other's blog, and that's what actually increases your visibility. You build yourself as a brand, you build yourself as a known educator. Today we have the privilege of having so many international participants in our conversation today, and it is all thanks to this social media that we've been able to make a connect and move on. Make learning social. Give your students voice, choice, and collaboration. Well, yes, that's absolutely imperative. If you're on Twitter, please follow us, join us. We'll follow you back. We are sure to follow you back. Well, let me tell you one more personal thing before we close this call today. I came on Twitter somewhere in late 2014, and I was just there, and all I would do is I was there and I would interact, I would follow people I would like, and I would give away the comments, I would retweet and reply. That's about it. So I was doing only that for quite some time because I wanted to become comfortable. Well, today here I'm sitting with 500 plus followers, which is huge. Well, the day I got 500 followers, let me tell you, I celebrated. And why not? I had actually established myself as a known face in the field of education. So yeah, I mean, go ahead if you want to do that. Why not? Be known for more than what you're known for. So please do try and bring in the social media in your class. I think Shelly's also talked to you about how you can bring in social media. That's also a way of gamification. So go ahead and bring it up. This brings us to the end of this session. Thank you very much for being here. Our next session is going to be on 10th April. That is next Sunday, 6 to 7. Hope to see you all and many more educators here. What's going to happen next Sunday is Pooja, who's been very kind to us and been the co-host the entire session, is going to present to you the use of OneNote class notebook. Well, Kalpana Kishore Kumar is going to be with us next week. She's going to do office mix. So let's start mixing with her. Kick it with Kodu, Iti Jain. We are looking forward to your presentation with Kodu. And there's a special guest in the waiting. I'm not going to disclose everything today, so do join us. Thank you so much, so very much for being with us today. And Pooja, one last thing. If you have any questions, let's talk now.
Not questions, but a lot of people want to join Project Kakuma. There's a long list coming your way.
Awesome. So what I'm going to do is, right after this call, by today evening or max of tomorrow morning, you will get the Excel sheet where you will be able to schedule a Kakuma session. I'm sure the Kakuma team is going to be so happy with such an overwhelming response. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you, Pooja, for being here, for being all my support.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great Sunday evening. Go ahead, enjoy yourself before the big week begins tomorrow. Bye-bye and good night.
Bye. Take care.
You too.